Hello and welcome to another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. I'm Wayne Highlander, National Sales Manager for Bona Adhesives.
And I'm Rob Johnson from Bona Training.
What, are you in the bottom of a ship somewhere?
Oh, no, I'm in my favorite place in the whole world, baby. I'm in my home training center. I'm in the New Jersey RTC. We're back.
All right.
Yeah, today we started the second of our back-to-back schools. Great attendance, awesome students. First school back in the Northeast in 2021, so I'm pumped, man.
Nice.
Sorry about the noise, but
it's all right. Just try to talk without the echo.
Oh, okay. You know what? I'll just go on mute and I'll nod my head when you're saying stuff that I like.
Would you mind? Oh, thank you. Hey, we didn't plan on this, but I see you got a Bona R851 adhesive hat on, and I have mine on as well. And mine is because I haven't had a haircut in about 2 months. Looks good.
I'm just wearing mine to make you happy. That's all.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Plus, the black hat goes with my black vest.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, Wayne, before we get going here, I don't know. This is kind of personal, but what the hell? I mean, I haven't been able to talk to you and everything. I'm back on the road. You know what I mean? I'm traveling again.
Yeah, this is like your first school back in a while, huh?
Yeah. I mean, well, I did, we did the one in Georgia not too long ago.
Yeah.
And, but this is the first big one back in the Northeast, and
I'm excited for you.
Lots of students in there. Yeah, I appreciate that. I know you're excited. Are you more happy that I'm out of town? Is that what's going on?
I mean, I'm happy you're back in your element.
Yeah. Okay. Talking to Pauline last night, and she said that you called her 3 times. What?
Wow.
It's funny. You never called me 3 times when I was home. Did you forget that I was on the road this week? I mean, no, you and I talk a lot. I'm just curious. What's up?
I've got Rob Johnson in my phone with 3 different numbers. I've got your work number, something must be a cell number, and then the home number. So I innocently called your home number 3 times.
3 times. 3 times in a row you called Pauline.
Yes. Oh. She sounds great, She sounds really, really good, and everything's fine. So yeah, checking to make sure everything, because you're gone a lot. So just thought I'd call.
Checking in on her.
Checking things are okay.
You are a true friend.
Yeah. I do what I can for you, buddy.
I appreciate that, man.
I deleted both your phone numbers off my phone, and now I just have your work number.
Now you just have Pauline's number, so you can just start calling her and texting her direct.
Right. Yeah, I didn't want to bother you. I know you're busy. Rob, we are, and you should be a master at this. How to handle complaints.
So why would I be the master?
I don't know. You've been around a bit. So,
listen, I didn't have a lot of complaints.
No.
I'm a very likable guy. Okay?
Yeah.
Very likable guy. So there weren't a lot of complaints. But there was a couple, of course.
Of course. I mean, anybody that says that there hasn't been is not been in business more than a few days or not telling you the whole story. But I want you to think of this, Rob. Okay. Picture yourself. All the years of training that goes into doing floors, all the years of the long days and the long hours and the stress of running a business and the scheduling and training and all the tools that are in that van, they're hard-earned tools. You didn't buy fishing poles with them. You didn't buy, other things with them. You reinvested back into the business. Friends are going on vacation, but nope. you working because you said so you'd be there. You keep it on schedule, and you're managing employees, and
Hey, I'd like to interrupt you. How was it with you on vacations? Because when Pete and I wanted to take a vacation, it was almost like, is it worth it? You'd have to work for 3 weeks like a dog ahead of
Yeah.
it, and 3 weeks like crazy after it, just to catch up on everything.
Yeah, I always say
The family deserves it. You got to do it with the family and everything.
yeah,
But man, a
it's hard to
vacation was
go.
never a vacation because you had to work so hard on the
Yeah,
front end and the back end of it.
it's hard to get ready to leave, and it's hard to coming back.
Yeah.
And while you're gone, a lot of times you're still on the job. So yeah, think about all that. Think about that. All that's wrapped up into that. And then like I said, if you're doing 50 jobs a year, that's 50 different bosses that you're having to meet their expectations. And it's a job that you're physical and it's hard work and you're sweating all day, but you can't sweat on the floor. You're sanding all day, but you can't get sawdust anywhere. And all the pride that's wrapped up into that job, and all the yes sirs and the yes ma'ams, and showing samples, and you covered all your bases, and then you get that call that with a complaint. Someone's complaining about something. The got home today and the floor isn't red enough. It didn't match the sample, and you poured all your blood, sweat, and tears.
I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed.
Yeah.
I thought the floor was going to be a little darker.
Yeah. All the work, everything that's wrapped up into all your pride, and everything that's wrapped up into that, and your blood, sweat, and tears, and you get someone's just on a whim, someone's like that, no idea what goes into all this, and complaints.
What do we do?
How do you handle that?
You just got a slug in the gut, man.
Yeah.
You just got a slug in the gut.
I think there are some techniques, and listen, I needed this as much as anybody. There's a quote by somebody, I don't know who said this, but the quote is, "Speak when you're angry, and you'll give the best speech you will ever regret." And there's a lot to that.
I like that one.
When I became a sales rep, Rob, I have a rule that if I'm upset, I wait at least a day before I send an email. And 9 times out of 10, I'll either not send the email or I'll change the email entirely. There's only been one instance in my entire career that I was mad and I sent the email. And I was well within my rights. I mean, I was dead right. There's no getting around it. And I even asked my boss first. I said, "Hey, I really want to send this email, man. I mean, I was livid, and I was 100% right. I know I was." I sat on it the next day, and I said, I want to. He goes, "Hey, if you feel that way about it, then go ahead and send an email." I sent the email. The guy called back, immediately, and apologized. And it was a heartfelt apology. And I still regret sending that damn email. You know what I mean? I mean, we're both over it now. He's a good dude, and we're long past it. But I still regret sending an email. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So when you're hot, that's to me is the number one rule. And any time you got to be able to calm yourself down, whether that's going for a walk or just get in a space where you can't react in an angry fashion. Okay, so. We put a list of things here of that you can consider when you get into this type of situation. One of them, I think, is that.
Wait, back up. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I got to share my little email story too. Okay. I did the same thing. Had an issue. I'm not naming names, companies, nothing. Okay. Had an issue with a guy.
What if it was the same guy? And
it's bad. What's that?
Yeah. What if it was the same guy?
Oh, I don't know, because this one ended a little different.
Okay.
So I put the email together, and it takes a lot to get me mad, and this guy did it. Okay. I put the email together, and before I hit send, I sent it to my boss. And I said, I'm giving you a heads up here.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going with this. So he calls me. He reads the email, he calls me, and he says, you have every right. He said, but you're not the kind of guy who sends emails like this. People don't think of you like this. I was like, I know, but he said, just if I was you, I would just hold it. And if you feel the same way, send it on Monday. Send it to him on Monday. And he goes, and I'll be right there behind you. I said, okay, good. I wake up Monday morning, and of course, I'm ready to hit send. Okay. My boss calls me and he said, you didn't send that, did you? I go, no, not yet, but I'm, literally finger on the button. He goes, so I guess you didn't hear. I go, no, what? He goes, he committed suicide over the weekend.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's why I didn't think it was the same guy.
Wow.
He
Oh,
said,
man. Thank God you didn't send it.
He said, can you imagine if you had sent that? He goes, you'd probably be in a police station right now. And
yeah.
So, yeah, talking about dodging a bullet. Oh, man. Yeah. So
that's brutal.
There's nothing funny about it, but
no, of course.
Some good advice from the boss, though. Just sit on it for the weekend.
Can you imagine if you sent it?
Yeah.
And then he did that afterwards?
Oh my God.
I mean, man.
Yeah, that would have been a tough one to swallow. That's a tough pill to swallow.
I'm the kind of guy that would have done that just to spite you. So how can I one up that? All right, beat this.
I got an idea. Yeah. He'll regret this.
All right. So first thing, when you get yourself in a situation like this is listen, hear them out, own the complaint, don't challenge the customer, just kind of put yourself in their shoes and just let them at least get it out. It's funny because I hear people, like you see on the internet, people go, whoa, if that guy said that to me, I would tell him to this, that, and the other. And I don't take nothing like that. I walk and all these different things. Like I said, we're just two different floor guys. I mean, everybody's got their own way of handling things, but I think if you listen, anytime it becomes an argument or whatever, which honest to God, I don't think in my whole career, I think maybe one time I got into an argument with a customer, maybe once, I don't think twice, because you've lost at the very beginning. It's over. Doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. None of that matters. You've already lost. All right. So I think you have to know that going in. I think you have to just calm down and put yourself in their shoes, no matter how tough it is. Like I said, all these things that happen ahead of time, all this pride and all these things that go into your job and the things that people will never appreciate, all these different things, you have to put them aside and you just have to hear the person out and let them get it out. Don't challenge it. Don't give, any kind of like a half-hearted apology. I remember one time, Rob, I can't remember who the customer or the company was.
You mean the one that's like, geez, I'm really sorry you feel like that.
Perfect. Yeah. That is the worst kind of
apology. That is the ultimate. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like my phone message. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's not saying I did anything wrong. It's that you feel that way. Like it's on you.
What is your major malfunction? Right.
Yeah.
What's the matter with you?
I can't remember. I think it was a car dealership or whatever, but I remember I was so mad at these people. And on the way there, I was thinking to myself, I'm going to unload on these people, man. I cannot believe how unprofessional and blah, 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 this whole thing. And I went in there loaded for bear. And the person was so damn nice that I couldn't. I mean, every time I was going a different direction, she would go, no, I'm really sorry. I understand you feel that one. Damn it. Okay. Well, then I go another direction, and she was boom, just as equally nice. As mad as I was, she was that nice. And after a while, how are you going to be mad at her now? You know what I mean?
Right. You got nowhere. She left you nowhere to go.
and it was at that tipping point of, sometimes they can be too nice. It's almost condescending. You know what I mean? And
Oh yeah.
which is irritating in itself. But no, I mean, she handled it so professionally, and just brought the temperature down. I mean, immediately from a boiling to just a simmer. And then from there, I was able to listen. She said all the right things. Boom, and then it's over. How are you going to be mad at that? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that, and I'll tell you what, Rob, too. You can absolutely, positively, and I think you must use this as an opportunity. I mean, I've said it before. I have to get something out of the job other than the check. If I just get the check out of that job is a bust for me. If they pay me on time, they say, Wayne, here you do, you're done. Here's the check. Nice job. Thank you very much. And I don't get any referrals from that job. In my mind, that job's a bust. And now you have to see this as an opportunity. I think you just have to. And same thing with customers in our business. I mean, if you get someone that's just really, really, really tough customer, you take that as a challenge, man. Hey, I know this guy's probably a pretty good guy, and maybe it's just a bad day or whatever. And you just have to just take this as an opportunity and turn it around. And you're absolutely positively some of the best referrals you can get is off of somebody that at once was disappointed or angry about something, right?
That's my story. That's exactly the story I was going to go with. Pete and I one time tried a new poly. It was, just a new polyurethane, different manufacturer. And it was just different than what we're used to working with. And we put the final coat down. Now, of course, wet, everything looks fine. And we got a call from the guy. And we never got calls. I mean, we just never got calls. It was just one job after another. And he said, geez, it doesn't look right. I was like, okay. So we went over there, took a look at the floor, and he was okay about it. You know what I mean? He wasn't steaming and everything, but he had legitimate, and I looked at the floor and I looked at him and I said, oh my God, this is horrible. I said, I'm embarrassed. I said, I can't believe it looks like this. I said, listen, I'm sorry it's going to be another day, but I have to do another coat. I got to repair this, so it's going to back you up a day on moving in. And, once again, I was like, geez, really, really sorry about the inconvenience here. That guy turned out to be one of the best referrals and testimonials we ever had. He turned into like a super salesman for us. We got more work from him. He was just so impressed because he was kind of acting strange, thinking that I was going to come in there guns a-blazing. I'm Rob Johnson, and this is perfect. You're out of your mind, But I took all that off the table. He did have a gripe, and there was, so the little time and energy and product that it cost me paid us back 100 times. Like I said, he couldn't have been more happy with the way that we responded, and it just turned out to be he was our guy.
Yeah,
and it was because of a screw up.
Because here's the way you could have responded. When he said it doesn't look right, what's your definition of right? And then when you looked at it, you could just say, hey, well, we'll try to do better on the next one. But you look like the type of customer we could try out a new product on. But nice. Yeah, you turned it into a win, man. And you can listen, it's just a miserable feeling. Nobody likes to have that type of, I certainly, man. I'm not built that way, man. I can't have mad customers at me. I can't have that. It's not about the money. It's just, you just don't work like that, man. And so the turning into a win is huge, Rob. One thing I learned from my working with my not father-in-law, my uncle, is how softly he spoke in times of turmoil, in times of when everybody's heated up, man, and everybody's like, they're just through the roof. He was so calm, and his voice was so soothing that he just, again, brought it all down, man, to where everybody's just calm. And so I'll tell you what, too, I've seen him in an instance tell the homeowner, look, you're really upset about this. I mean, you're really over the top upset about this. Why don't we do this? Let's talk about this tomorrow. Can I come back and call you at a certain time tomorrow, whatever, just to let this guy know too. Look, let's just bring this down. I'm a reasonable guy and I'm talking to you. I'm not going anywhere. And but just the way his mannerisms. And there's a lot to be said for also when I say listen to them, I think it's also a really good idea to read back to them what their complaints are. So if I hear you right, you're concerned about this, that, and the other. Okay, I got you. So there's no misunderstanding that, yeah, he understands where you're coming from.
You know, you talk about your uncle doing that. I learned a lot from people in my family about, you know, whether it was construction or sanding or whatever. But I learned from my dad a lot of sales things and just a lot of how to deal with people. And talk about diffusing a situation and how you were just saying, you know, how calm your uncle was. I remember talking to my father after I watched this guy just blowing up at him because we were behind on the job and this guy just had all sorts of things that were, you know, relying on us to get done and it just wasn't going to happen. And as this guy is just going berserk, my dad had this monotone, you know, calm, monotone. It was amazing. And it was just crazy how it could diffuse the situation. So, you know, I learned a lot from him. Another one of his great ones was never badmouth the competition. And I've seen that work so many times. You know, you badmouth the competition, you're questioning somebody's decision making, okay, if they're using somebody else. So that was one that was a great one, but that monotone and not fighting and just diffusing situations like that. All of a sudden, the guy, you know, 5 minutes into the conversation, the guy's looking at my dad. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, these things happen. But it was because he didn't go on the attack. He just went into that monotone.
Yeah.
Believe me, growing up with that monotone, it could drive you crazy too. I mean, it was when he used that Vulcan mind monotone on me, it was like, oh, here we go, son of a brat. Mm-hmm. But it really worked. It was amazing.
Well, I think in this instance, Rob, another technique that works well is to put the customer first and the problem second, right? And just keep in mind that they don't know the side of the business. Like what they say is something that might be innocent to them or whatever. They may not know on our end. It's like massive on what it would take to make a change, especially when we talk about color, sheen difference, and stuff like that. So I can tell you this, Rob. I think one of the best ways to get around all of this, the whole thing, a lot of times comes down to communication. Because if there ever is a miscommunication, like of expectations or something like that, when I was a contractor, I put all that on me. I mean, I put 100% of the blame on me if that ever comes to be, whether it's right or not. I always think, okay, why did he think that way? Why did he think that was the way it was going to go? Or why did he think the schedule was such and such when I felt like we laid it out this way? What am I not doing? What did I not get across? It's the same reason why I would never go back and ask somebody for more money if we made a mistake on bidding the job or if something came up. 99.9% of the time, I'm going to eat that unless it's something just completely out of the box, that, you know, whatever. But I don't ever go back to anybody and ask for more money after I give them a bid. I do keep a running tab in my head. Somebody owes me that money. Man, you know what I mean? I'm going to get that money somewhere. I think by doing that and by making sure that I communicate very well, and especially in this age of COVID, where everything is, you know, really, you know, people are at home more and what have you, I think it starts with good communication. And we talk about customer expectations. I read in a poll somewhere that 74% of homeowners have had a bad experience with contractors somewhere down the line in their life. So you're already overcoming a big mountain. You know what I mean? You're coming into someone's home, and a lot of times they don't, you know, and a lot of times people are like super nice. They don't want to ask you the questions that they really want to ask you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, are you guys going to be using our bathroom, or we don't want you to smoke in our house, or are you actually the guy going to be doing the work, or is there somebody else going to be coming in, or what are your work hours? All these type of things. So I think it's a smart idea at the very beginning of the job on the bid to just say, listen, here's our house rules. I want you to let you know how we operate, and it's this. And I think just by doing that alone, oh my gosh, you see some people just their whole body language is like, oh my God, I was wondering about that. So thank you. So I think that's not a bad idea. And say, listen, this is our rules, what we do. But is there something we're missing? Is there something you prefer that we do, or you have any needs that we're not aware of? Because then now they think, all right, this guy, you know what? It's not even about the floor. It's how he's going to treat me and my family and my home. Which, by the way, is my largest investment, right? So those things right from the beginning can really kind of, like I say, part of the problem sometimes, Rob, you know it as well as I do. Sometimes we're the last guy in the job. Before they got to us, they got to the plumber who was messy and disrespectful, maybe, or the painter that showed up every other day and had employees that were sick and was off schedule, and all these other things have gone wrong. And the homeowner is getting educated with every tradesman. All right, they're learning. Okay, all right, this is how it works. All right, I've got to really be on these guys because now I'm learning. And now the poor floor guy gets there, and then it's like you're walking into a trap. So I think by you separating yourself from a lot of people by just saying, listen, here's what we do. Here's our work hours. We don't smoke in the house, blah, blah, blah. This is the guy that's going to be there. Not a bad idea too. If you have seen this before, if you have employees, say, Rob and Wayne are going to be at your job. This is Rob. Picture Rob. Rob's married, got 3 kids. His hobbies are fishing. Been with us 9 years. All these different things to make it more personal to them, and that you're taking care of them. Make sense?
Absolutely. The thing is, you got to remember too, it's not like the old days. Social media is insane.
Yeah.
You do something, you torch somebody the wrong way. You put a bad taste in somebody's mouth. I mean, they could tell, I've said it many times. And, in the old days, people knew 100 people, 150 people. You did a bad job and they tell 30, you did a good job, they tell 35. You do a bad job, they'll tell 70. But that's when people were, still writing letters.
Yeah.
Now you get into social media. Man, I mean, I see it. I see students that come to the trainings and they start looking, they'll show you their social media and what people are saying about them. And some guys have said, showed us some of the bad stuff. That's just, showing up late for an estimate, did a great job. Everything was great.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the job. The color was great, blah, blah, blah. But, he showed up 20 minutes late for the estimate. I give him 1 star. And that was a true story. And the guy's calling her like, this is my livelihood, and she's, no, well, you should have called,
Wow.
You were 20 minutes late. You said, yeah, it was absolute truth. So
I've seen it before.
One bad review, it can really hurt you, especially when, you're relying on referrals and reviews and things like that.
That might be the biggest difference between doing floors now and doing floors when we did floors, Rob, because I actually feel sorry for the guys. I see guys panic over getting the possibility of getting a bad review.
Yeah.
And all the hoops they have to jump through. And I really, truly feel sorry for them because of just what you said. I mean, homeowners can be brutal. Man, I've seen horror stories of not just in our industry, by the way, in restaurants, just brutal. So there is also,
and I mean, think about it. When we were in business, when somebody would write us a letter, I would take that letter, and take what the word, what they said, and I would put that on the back of our estimate sheets. That was part of what was printed on our estimate sheets was so-and-so said this. And, so we had like 4 or 5 really nice testimonials. Okay. And sometimes, because it was a small town, small area we lived in, somebody like, oh my God, I know that guy. Yeah, I went to school with him, whatever. Okay. And so we could pick and choose our own testimonials where you just can't do that anymore. And like you said, I feel really bad for the guys who have to do business now, because it's like when that guy was telling me, he goes, yeah, 20 minutes late and I get a 1-star rating, and it's just followed me around. She won't take it down. I was like, my gosh, it's just amazing what these guys have to go through. I do feel for them.
It's funny you brought those letters, because we also we had a book of pictures of floors that we did, and in there, in the back, I would have some letters from reviews and stuff like that. But you're right, you could pick and choose them, right? But you're absolutely right. Nowadays, if the homeowners sent you a letter of a complaint or a call or whatever, that's like a dagger to the heart, right? But putting it out there on social media like that, man, is absolutely brutal. So what happens when that happens, Rob? Let's talk about that for a minute. If you do get a bad review, we had Erica Kitsy on here before, and we keep referring back to that podcast because she has some great, if you haven't seen that episode or heard that episode, she has some great advice about that. But it's not the end of the world to get a bad review. It's really not. In fact, most consumers recognize that everybody's different. No one's going to have. It's almost adds a little bit of legitimacy to the rest of the comments, because nobody. It's almost inhuman to have 100% satisfaction from everybody across the all your work you've done. But if you do get a bad review, the first thing that they tell you to do is take it offline, right? Try to talk to her and get it offline, and you don't want to do a tit for tat, because everybody likes a car wreck, right? Everybody like, oh man, he said this, then she said that, then look at this battle that's going on, and it's just ugly. So it's best to take it offline if you can. And if they won't take off the review,
if you don't take off the review, I think you drive over their house at 2:00 in the morning, right?
Well, that's some things that went through my head there, but
a case of beer, right? Have some beers before you do this. Start banging on the door. Hey, we need to talk now.
Breaking Bad. No, but if you do get a bad review like that, the best thing you can do is try to get a bunch of good reviews, and you can pretty much bury that a lot of times, with the good reviews that have come in. And a lot of times it makes that person look petty. If you've got like really good reviews, I mean, very reasonable good reviews across the board, then you get one like that. I've done it myself. I look at that person, I go, that person must be a jerk. I mean, look at this guy. He obviously look at his work and blah blah blah. And this guy, I mean, there's so I think people realize that. So
it's funny because that's what everybody in the class was saying when he was sharing that review with everybody. They were laughing their ass off. They're like, she loves you. She loves the job. But then when she finished it off that you were late for the estimate and you get a 1-star rating, so that's exactly what the people in the class were saying, was like, people are going to know that, she's a nut job.
Oh, I've seen bad reviews, Rob, and they didn't even do the job. They just thought the bid was too high. You know what I mean? I mean, it's unbelievable to me. I'm going to
wear that one like a badge of honor.
Yeah. So common causes of complaints from homeowners about contractors. One is poor workmanship, not taking the time to do the job right. And there's something to consider here. I've often thought about this, Rob, even on our own jobs. So when I talk about poor workmanship, there's something that that's always in the back of my mind when I did floors, Rob. A lot of guys take pride in being fast, right? Like, I'm really fast at racking out. I'm really fast at nailing. I'm really fast at running the big machine, especially on that last pass. I'm almost running. To the homeowner's eyes, sometimes that can look like rushing. You see what I mean? And sometimes I worry. I used to worry about that, and that's not rushing in my mind. I know what we're doing. We're fast and blah blah. We're not taking any shortcuts. But it's something that's always kind of stuck in the back of my mind, the perception of what it looks like from the homeowner's point of view. But poor workmanship is probably one of the number one reasons for complaints. Being behind schedule or never giving a schedule out. like, you know what I mean? That we didn't know when he was going to become, how long the job was going to last, that type of thing. No timely responses from phone calls or emails. This is one that gets a lot of guys, is loose ends. We just didn't put that last transition piece on because it didn't come in on time, and we had to go back and do it. But it just never works out to be the right time. So consequently, a month later, they're still waiting on that one transition piece, which is a bad look.
Yeah, but think of all that laundry list of things, though, that can get you a bad review, and it had nothing to do with the job. I know I've told the story before about that buddy of mine that I used to share work with who did our roof. Everything was awesome. I used to get him roof jobs, and he used to get me floor jobs. And then at a party one day, I heard Pauline just ripping him apart. And I walked over and said, "What are you doing?" It's like, the chewing tobacco just, I hate that. And I was like, man, you can't do that. You just can't do that. But, that was my own wife. And we talk about that in the school. You don't know what's going to set somebody up. You could do it, in a perfect job. And they could be anti-smokers. And if you're smoking or somebody's smoking in their driveway, not even in their house, that could set them off, just like the chewing the tobacco set Pauline off, or music, or politics, or religion, or all of that stuff. Anything. Just especially in the climate, the political climate that we're in now. And the last thing you want to do is put any bumper sticker on your truck or anything like that. Just you got to be neutral with all that.
What I tell people too is we are perceived to be experts in this one little box in this whole big world. This one box of hardwood floors. Don't get outside that box. Don't talk about those current events or religion or any of these things that are political. Who cares? I mean, you know what I mean? So with our job, and by the way too, I say it so many times, is we also don't talk about any other jobs that we got going on. We don't talk about the job we got going on across the street, or this big one that we're getting ready to start next week. We don't talk about none of those things. We only care about this. We only talk about this job. They're paying us to worry about this job. They don't want to hear about other jobs. They don't want to be thinking that, well, maybe they got to get to this other job, or they got another job going on, so maybe that's more important. So I think it's good to have a team meeting once in a while, maybe once a month, especially if you got a lot of newer employees, whatever, or even every week or so, and just talk about these type of things. And we know how service today is terrible in a lot of industries, but I'll say this, you can oftentimes get the benefit of the doubt just because your demeanor with that homeowner, just because of the way you've treated that homeowner's house, just because they perceive you as a really nice guy that's trying very hard. So to wrap this up, it's tough to get in those complaints, man. It's very difficult to hear. There's a lot of pride that goes into this job. If you do, calm down, give yourself some time before you talk about it. To your reply. Certainly you don't want to, just your body language, just everything your mannerisms and everything can really turn someone off. And make sure you listen to their complaint, hear them out. And if you're going to apologize, make it a genuine apology. And don't challenge their complaint. Put yourself in their shoes, and own the problem. And try to turn it into a positive. Biggest of all this advice to me is calm down. Because believe me, I get it, man. I am 100% there. I mean, I can go to 0 to 90 real quick when you're talking about my work. So I had to make sure that I calm down, and it's always worked, and in the end, there's another job next week, and you just get past it, and it's part of the job. And it's amazing how many of those guys that you thought, man, it's a problem guy, blah, 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 and he's referring you to other jobs, or he wants you to come back and do something else for him. So, or her.
Gotta go monotone, man. Gotta go monotone.
All right, Rob. Well, that kind of goes along with our last podcast of doing work for, doing work for friends and family, which we actually got quite a bit of feedback from. Again, public service announcement. If somebody asks you to do a job for them, their family, relative, say, listen to the podcast first. we got you.
You have to listen to this.
Yeah.
Then we'll
All
talk.
right. This has been another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. Please stay tuned for another episode.